Hello everyone, this is Isabella, St.Joseph College of Arts and Science, Cuddalore, Department of English. Here, today I came with the topic She Stoops to Conquer by Goldsmith. Oliver Goldsmith's comedy She Stoops to Conquer is fresh and really entertaining, and it abounds in many hilarious incidents. It presents primarily the youthful energy vigor of the dramatist. The play keeps the audience in a jovial mood right from the beginning. She Stoops to Conquer deals with the theme of youthful love, adventure, and thrilling romance. Marlowe and Hastings are the two characters with heterogeneous qualities. The two heroines, Kate and Constance Neville, are charming, intelligent, and beautiful. In addition to this, the character of Tony Hardcastle adds the mischievousness, cunningness, and wit of the spoiled child to the comedy. Secondly, the play She Stoops to Conquer is referring as it is located in the 18th countryside with its alehouse, night journey, bumpy roads, and inns. The fascination for London is implied through Mrs. Hardcastle longing for a journey to London, which indicates an attraction for town life. But Mr. Hardcastle's comments are quite interesting and significant. He states that people visit London only to bring back affectation and vanity to their houses. And also, he comments, I wonder why London cannot keep its own fools at home. Oliver Goldsmith has displayed his love for nature and the countryside life in She Stoops to Conquer. Then, this play, it makes an entertaining and refreshing one. The characterizations is outstanding and it is a remarkable contribution to the English drama. Oliver Goldsmith has artistically delineated the older generation in Mr. and Mrs. Hardcastle and Sir Charles Marlowe. Mrs. Hardcastle is a twice married woman and Tony is a son from her previous marriage to Squire Lumpkin. She is very much fond of her son Tony. She wants Tony to marry Constance Neville because she has inherited precious jewelry and wealth. Mr. Hardcastle is a sober man who loves everything that is very old. He jovially says that he had been pretty fond of an old wife. When Mrs. Hardcastle describes her son as weak and consumptive, Mr. Hardcastle ironically says if growing too fat is consumptive, then Tony is one. Marlowe was a peculiar character. He is well educated and excellent understanding. His peculiar habit of treating women on unequal terms makes his character interesting and unique. His behavior with Mr. Hardcastle clearly reveals that he is not very short comparatively. Then George Hastings, a friend of Charles, is a self-assertive and courageous to win Constance Neville. So among the girls, Kate resided in London for some time. She knows the practical way town life. She alters her plan to teach a lesson to George Marlowe. She achieves her goal by marrying him. Then Constance Neville is very hilarious and jovial by nature. She loves George Hastings even though there was a pressure from Mrs. Hardcastle to marry her son Tony. She is not ready to lose her jewels at any cost. She clearly tells Hastings the jewels are also very important to her. Then Goldsmith has blended with humor in a dexterous manner. Sometimes his statements also are didactic and aphoristic. Similarly, the Constance Neville also interested in her jewels, though they are old-fashioned. Even Tony has an eye on money. With these all characteristics, the play She Stoops to Conquer has become one of the most popular English comedies. It is not only entertaining but also thought-provoking play in the world of English drama. It appeals both to the heart and mind of the readers. So here, A Goldsmith's play she stoops to conquer presents Mr. and Mrs. Hardcastle's residing in the countryside house with their son, Tony Hardcastle, and daughter Kate Hardcastle. So Tony Hardcastle was by her previous marriage to Squire Lumpkin, as I said before. And then a Constant Neville is in love with George Hastings. They wants to get married. Tony is in love with the village maid and he wants to marry her, and he has been waiting for an appropriate time. So Tony is a spoiled child, as I said in the beginning part, due to his mother's pampering. So in the opening of the play, she stoops to conquer. The readers are informed that young Marlowe is coming to see Kate Hardcastle for marriage transactions with his friend George Hastings. So they are good friends and they wish to meet Mr. and Mrs. Hardcastle. So it is so interesting to note that both Marlowe and George Hastings failed to find their way out of the Hastings and reach an inn called the Three Pigeons. Tony Hastings is already present at an inn and he identifies his visitors. During the conversations with the Tony, Marlowe and George Hastings come to know that he is not a good-natured man. So Tony wishes to teach them a good lesson and he mischievously misguides them and directs them to the Hardcastle's house, stating them that it is a better inn for them to stay for some days. The two young men, George Hastings and Marlowe, come to the Hardcastle's house considering Mr. Hardcastle as a manager. Mr. Hardcastle has been waiting for his future son-in-law and he receives the visitors with great attention and courtesy. But he is greatly shocked by the strange behavior and treatment and he thinks that it may be manner and method of the Londoners to behave in that way. So the real comedy is that Mr. Hardcastle attends them with great attention and care, but Marlowe and his friend George get bored by the forced company of Mr. Hardcastle. The play She Stoops to Conquer comprises so much funny and hilarious incidents which evoke laughter. The real problem and confusion, a perplexion arises with the peculiar habit of Marlowe. He is a little bit bashful and reserved person, especially with the ladies of rank and status various. He is bold and rash with the girls of lower of society. He is a fashionable young man who has travelled widely in order to acquire first-hand knowledge of life. He meets Kate Hardcastle but does not see her at all. Hastings and Constance keep the secret to play a joke upon him. Marlowe thinks Mr. Hardcastle's house is a real inn, so Kate plans to play a role of a barmaid in the inn. As a man of dual nature, Marlowe tries to seduce Kate. He makes many errors there. So George Hastings promises Tony to make him free from Constance Neville. Tony is happy that Hastings is ready to marry Constance and he even get ready to help him in this love matter. But Constance is not ready to leave the Hardcastle's house without her jewels. So it is interesting to note that Tony steals the jewels from his mother locker and gives them to George. The George gives jewels to his close friend Marlowe in order to keep it very safe. But it is ironical that Marlowe gives them back to Mrs. Hardcastle for the matter of safety. Thus the jewels go from one hand to another again and finally it reaches to the original place. The incident makes Mrs. Hardcastle aware about the secret of Constance and Tony, who stole the jewels from his mother locker. The most interesting thing is Tony's journey and around his own house with his mother and Constance Neville in the night. As usual, Marlowe's father, Sir Charles Marlowe, arrives at the Hardcastle's house and the whole confusion and problems was resolved there. So Marlowe comes to know that the barmaid was a Kate Hardcastle and he is ashamed of all his mistakes. The marriage between Constance Neville and George Hastings and Kate and Marlowe take place in the end. So Turney learns that he is free to marry his village maid. And the action of the play is very simple, follows the established formula in the area of comedy. So actually the title of the play is fully appropriate. Kate recognizes finally Marlowe's real nature and his habits. Instead of following the direct way, she follows an indirect method of. Finally, the topic she stoops to conquer. It refers to the device or a trick of its heroine to conquer her lover by stooping to play the role of a barmaid, and after that the role of a poor relation to the Hardcastle's family. She, in the title, refers to the heroine Kate, who is the daughter of a rich man from a upper middle class. Here she is stooping by playing the role of a barmaid. Actually, stoops is the main action in the play. The heroine stoops to win the hero over emotionally and to gain his heart and his love to make him love her. Thank you.